travels? Long?
It's a long drive, yeah. Made especially more fun by being on the Beltline at like 2 o'clock and traffic being at a complete standstill. Like from Seminole back to, I don't know when it's well before Fish Hatch.
That's a bad spot anyways.
Because it was, I recall it being like 2.5 miles to Midvale, to the exit we needed, when things just came to a halt. It was like 2 o'clock. Like I don't understand what's going on. I spent a good chunk of time living in Madison and driving on the Beltline, and I do not recall there being routinely standstill traffic in that stretch at 2 in the afternoon on a Friday. There was some giant accident in the left lane.
I mean, they just widened it, so it's been a little better where accidents where there's enough room because there's the extra lane now and people can get around it.
Right.
That stinks.
But yeah, absolutely no good at all. Lost between 40 and 60 minutes just sitting there. Oh.
Where are you guys in Iowa?
Just north of Iowa City. So, eastern half of the state.
Gotcha.
Let's see. About an hour and a half from the Wisconsin border at Dubuque.
I see.
Man, you guys have been getting a lot of like tornadoes lately.
Yeah, it's been bad.
Been a bad storm season.
Oh.
Yeah, we were getting alerts for North Liberty weather while up in Door County.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh hey, neat.
Windstorms, tornadoes. It's great. It was
Just a
hotter
good
than
time.
shit in Door County. Oh.
Still discombobulated here. Cram a bunch of shit out of the way.
Hmm.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's all pretend I know what's happening. Okay. Cool. Where did we leave you? You were back at the hotel, I think. You had staked out the Penhue Foundation for a little bit.
Yeah, at the bar. I don't think we saw anything suspicious.
Oh, that's right. You saw the security guard befriended a waitress and a fellow Great War veteran. Learned there's just the one guard, but he does his job diligently, he takes it seriously. What else? Oh, right, the Freddy's anecdote about monsters on the front line. Okay. Okay.
And the goal was to go back to the Penny Foundation in the morning when it's open? Or do we choose to break in? I don't think we chose to break in.
And we can break in, we just gotta be ready for it.
Well, was the goal to just chat with Penhew? Or to, like, rummage through his desk and find some correspondence, or see if he ties in with, what's her name?
The boss Zara or whatever.
Alright, that's it.
Let's see. Were we going to call and make an appointment, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
Yeah, you were given the number for the number to call to try and make an appointment.
Okay, so that'd be an easy thing to do from the hotel.
Well, easy enough to do that in the morning.
Um,
Alright, so in the morning, we can make a call, try to get into the Penhew Foundation with the goal of just, what's his name, Arthur Penhew? Talking to Arthur Penhew. And we were going to, oh, that's right, we were gonna, like, discuss the happenings and bring some occult things with us, but not, like, show our entire hand, I think.
Right, just so we sound credible.
Yeah.
so we're gonna impress them with our knowledge of supernatural pyramids.
Right.
Yeah.
With the goal of what?
I think we want to get in on their evil plans. Like, we're one of you. We want to, we're not in it just for the social aspect. We want more of the weirder, who are the weirdos in this club? Who are the, yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of recenter things. Because I know we've had a couple side things and we had a long break. Broadly speaking, what you've been asked to do for your overall journey is track down what was going on with Jackson Elias, his investigations, and what may have led him to come back to New York and ultimately get himself murdered. Like I say that to sort of recenter everything. Again, after a long time away and a lot of things happening, that is the broader, sort of the top level goal. How you choose to pursue that, or what else you may want to investigate, or talk, or who you want to talk to, etc. While in England or anywhere else, obviously up to you. But yeah, nominally, the overall goal is to figure out what the hell happened there and what he was looking into.
So we put a damper on a death cult in New York, stop their whole weird ritual in their basement, but that's only one piece of it, because it seemed clear that the Carlisle expedition was the first thing we were looking into, and then when we followed up on that and got the weird books that drove us crazy, some of the things in those books are also related to what's going on here with Zara and these Egyptian freaks.
Yep.
So we're going to follow up on all the things he was researching. So he's researching this, but also the weird painting and also the werewolves or whatever that was, or wolf or dog. I can't remember. There were 3 things. 3 different stories we were following up on. This was one of them. So if we hit a dead end here on this and are just waiting around for another kidnapping or murder, we can also research the weird painting guy, because this all might be connected. And there might be a bunch of death cults, and they're all going to work together to make a super Voltron death cult. So who knows? Maybe the end of the world is coming, and summoning Gozer, and we need to stop it. So, yeah, we get as far as we can and get as much of the insider knowledge, because then we can put those pieces together.
I mean, who hasn't occasionally accidentally summoned Gozer?
If you say her name in the mirror 3 times, its name.
Yes.
Then she appears in the fridge.
All right, so the doc is the fanciest of us, so he should probably be the one that makes the appointment to see.
I can do that.
I liked his name.
So are we just assuming we're taking a night's rest and getting up in the morning and making that call?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
In the morning, I'll go down to the clerk's desk, or we don't have phones in our rooms, do we?
No.
I didn't think so.
No,
All right, I'll go down to the clerk's desk and ask him to phone over to the Penhew Foundation building, and would he make that reservation for us, or is that something we would do?
For the Penhew Foundation, I don't think the hotel concierge will be in a position to do much for you here. You can use the hotel phone, obviously. There are various places, various social clubs, restaurants, etc. that the concierge will be able to set up for you, but I don't think he has any particular connection to the Penhew Foundation.
Okay. I will ask for the phone, look at the card, call over, see who picks up.
Cool. So you dial the number, connection is made, you hear the phone ringing on the other end. Eventually, I'd say eventually, long enough to sort of make you wait, but not so long you're worrying that there isn't anybody there. You can't, like, say 4 or 5 rings, somewhere in there. You hear the sound of a handset being picked up, and a sort of clipped, posh British voice answers, Thomas Kinnery, Penhew Foundation. What's your business?
Good morning. We are looking to come explore the foundation a bit. Heard some good things, and myself and folks I'm traveling with are may offer some insight into some of the things that you research, and then start talking about
Magical pyramids.
and the pyramids. Though I don't have so much insight on the pyramids, but I do know that they've talked about the pyramids, so I'll bring that up.
Yes, well, I'm sure you understand. This is a private foundation. We don't entertain just random American visitors off the street. Who, may I ask, are you exactly?
I am Dr. Michael von Doister, esteemed surgeon, American surgeon, and I've actually got some folks in my group that are pretty esteemed as well, and go on to embellish heavily on the rest of the group.
As you say, esteemed American surgeon, you can hear him not quite chuckle into the phone.
Lovely.
Is very good, sir. If you could please hold for just one moment, let me see if we can find an appropriate appointment. Please wait. And you kind of hear the sound of the handset being set down, and the line goes silent. We haven't heard the click of it disconnecting.
Did he just hang up on you?
He did not. In fairly short order, you hear him come back on the phone, and he sounds significantly warmer than he did before. And ends up just asking you what sort of time you'd like to set an appointment for. He can schedule an appointment for you and Mr. Gavigan on relatively short notice.
Yeah, I think that's what we want, right? We'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
then-
Yeah.
I'll ask over the phone as well. Like, is there going to be an opportunity? I appreciate the appointment. Is there also going to be an opportunity to? I mean, this is a prestigious place for folks with like minds. It's going to be opportunity to view the grounds and such.
That will depend on Mr. Gavigan, I should think. I imagine his intent is to show you the grounds. He certainly expressed interest in meeting you. So if I can pass on, what time should we expect you to be calling?
I assume it's like, what, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it's early. It's early-ish in the morning. You would have called because their doors open, I forget, 8:30?
Sure. They're pretty
Yeah.
nice and early.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like 8:30 right now. As soon as you called, essentially as early as you could. We'll say it's like at the latest 8:45 in the morning right now.
Okay. I will. Well, let's schedule something for 10:30.
Excellent. I shall pencil you in presently. Look forward to seeing you. Simply give your names at the front desk and we'll have you escorted to Mr. Gavigan directly.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Very welcome. Excellent day. Ka-chink.
Is this the same individual that I spilled ink all over his desk?
No, this is a different person.
Excellent. Excellent.
He introduced himself as Thomas Kinnery.
Right. Okay.
I'll throw that in the Discord chat here. So you've got that name and spelling.
Okay. Awesome. So I figure we'll probably get some breakfast and just head over there, right?
Let's get some bangers and mash.
And tea, of course.
Tea. Ooh, I forgot I had tea.
Yes, there's the cafe directly across the street from the hotel that you have eaten at before, sometimes twice in quick succession.
Cool.
Easy enough to stop in, have some coffee, eggs, rasher, tomatoes, whatever the English term, beans, I don't know.
Excellent. Do that, and then head towards the Penhue Foundation.
So it's currently Tuesday, March 5th?
Tuesday, March 6th.
March 6th, that's right.
Yes.
March 6th.
So how are you, what mode of transportation are you intending to take to get to the Penhue Foundation?
How'd we get there last time? We just took a taxi or
Tube?
something?
A car?
Yeah, would it be more prestigious if we showed up in the hired car instead? Will they care?
Yeah, basically your options are on foot, hansom cab, motor cab, the tube, or yeah, you would obviously hire a car, and the concierge would be able to help you with any of these options.
Yeah, let's hire a car just to make it seem.
Extra fancy.
Yeah.
And how are you planning on presenting yourselves? If you're wearing your recently acquired finery, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice as close.
Cool. And then, how are you equipping yourselves for the visit?
We need cool stuff to bring.
Oh yeah, we have to show them our bona
Should we-
fides.
Yeah, should we stop by what's the scoop? No wait. Where's our stuff? Is there stuff at the scoop? Yeah.
The evidence, the Elias's collection is housed at the scoop. We can retcon anything you would have while you were researching there and formulating this plan. We can say you brought anything you wanted to the hotel, just to save you the trip to the scoop. But yeah, in terms of equipment, items for show and tell, evidence of esteemery, whatnot, what are you planning on bringing? Yo.
Were we bringing the actual book, or were we afraid of it falling into bad hands?
Yeah, I think if we bring not that book, but a different book that would show that we know what we're talking about, but not give away proprietary information. Maybe like we write down a little excerpt or something from that book so we can show we've seen it, but we don't have it.
That's a good idea. Like a transcription. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, did you guys have anything from Peru still on your persons? I don't think you guys got anything down there.
I mean, notes. I assume we have notes and things from that, but that doesn't. Well, I'm not sure if it directly involves this. I guess it was sort of a death cult too. There's pyramids.
We have, I assume, a drawing of the like mark that they made on Elias's forehead. Is that something we should bring?
Yeah,
Raises
the
an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring
I was going to say, unless if they're connected to that cult at all, and they know that someone messed it up, if that would tie to that, like maybe we don't want to be tied to the stuff in New York.
possible. We could just say that we got it in evidence from the police or something. But that still ties us.
As long as we mix it up with a variety of other stuff. If we have some Egyptian type facts, if we can find, a little statuette, some knickknacks, trinkets kind of things.
Didn't the doctor take one of those weird occultist knives?
Yep.
And the red,
that.
yeah, and the red strip of cloth that was covering the occultist eyes. I think you have those.
I do.
Okay.
I have nothing. Oh, crystals.
I'll keep the cloth in my pocket and conceal the knife, but I'll bring the knife nonetheless.
Cool.
And I think we're gonna transcribe a bit of the book that is called the Book of the Dead, or the main one that had all the stuff in it. Called something about gods, maybe.
You have some notes you took on that, absolutely.
Perfect. I think that's what I got.
I got trinkets in Peru, but they were fake. They will not help.
You can assume you took some notes on the weird stuff happening in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Adele wrote a book about it.
There you go.
If they care, she will 100% bring a copy of her book.
Nice.
Whether they want it or not.
Cool. I think that's it.
All right. The concierge arranges a hired car for you, which you are then able to ride in, obviously, to the Penhew Foundation. The chauffeur will have the car waiting for you outside whenever you choose to leave again. And we cut to you coming up the gravel walk to the Penhew Foundation, going in the front door and finding Bertrand, the gentleman you spilled ink on, working at the front desk. As you walk in, he looks up and you can see he quickly conceals it behind a mask of English politeness, but as he catches sight of you, Doctor, you can see a grimace cross his face very briefly.
I'll move quickly past. Or do we have to interact with him to get through? He's like the doorman, right?
Yeah.
All right. Then I'll walk up and profusely apologize for the day. I wasn't of my right mind, etc., and we're just here to meet with Mr. Gavigan. We made an appointment.
Sure. Yeah. Just give me a persuade roll.
Sure.
If it doesn't work, you should tip him, since you did cover him in ink.
Yeah. I'll attempt to persuade, and then if that doesn't work, I'll give him.
Now, the persuade was just to see if you could improve his opinion of you by way of apologizing and being polite. He's not going to stop you. He's been told to contact Mr. Kennery, put you in touch with him. He's not going to hold that up. But it does not appear that his fundamental opinion of you as a person has changed since you poured ink all over his desk and himself.
British Americans.
A little bit sourly, but concealing it well. He leaves the desk for a moment, comes back with Thomas Kennery. Do I have? I'm gonna provide art for him. Hang on. Yes.
Also, I made a little I made a journal entry for overarching goals and sub goals to keep us on track.
Nice. Yeah, so a well-dressed, somewhat heavy-set, but not astoundingly so, gentleman in his early 30s walks out from behind the desk and greets you, offering a hand to shake as he introduces himself as Thomas Kennery. Asks if you would like to follow him to Gavigan's office.
Absolutely.
So he leads you back to that first door on the right-hand side, and then opens it. You enter a kind of a long hallway sort of thing with a door directly opposite you. He opens that and gestures you into what is evidently Gavigan's office. It's well appointed. Excuse me. It's well appointed. It's got an obviously well-made desk, expensive decorations, fine art on the walls, bookshelves stacked with books of a variety of ages, all of them looking obviously valuable. And asks you to please have a seat. There are a variety of small chairs on the, not Gavigan side of the desk. Please have a seat. Mr. Gavigan will be with you shortly. Not waiting to see if you do, in fact, sit down. He excuses himself from the room and closes the door behind him, leaving you alone for the moment in Gavigan's office.
We roll on the place. How do you spell Gavin again?
Gavigan. While you're waiting, why doesn't everyone give me a spot hidden roll?
Oh, where am I? Oh, there I am.
That's cool.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so both Adele and the doctor identify a very modern looking floor safe in the far from where you're sitting, the far left hand corner of the room. You can see it because the rug above it is askew a little bit, revealing kind of its corner. You can see that the safe has not been closed or locked. It's sitting there just slightly open, like the door was lowered, but it wasn't allowed to fully latch, or the lock wasn't spun home, or something along those lines. But the door is sitting just off, just out the frame of the safe.
Cover me, I'm gonna look.
With that spot hidden roll, Doctor, well, no, both of you will also notice there's on the desktop, there's only one sort of personal touch. There's a small photograph in a silver frame that shows a pretty imposing 3-story country mansion. And I don't know how to rationalize this, but that's a really good spot hidden roll. So we'll say you are led to look there by a worn spot in the rug in front of it. And Doctor, you will find, just by taking a quick peek in it, that there is a closet on the northern wall, the back of which appears to be a secret door.
In the house?
No, in the office you're standing in.
Oh.
Interesting. Well, somebody's coming to meet us. I don't know that we can necessarily just jump in that.
You look, I'll chat him up outside the office.
All right.
Or shouldn't he be the one chatting him up? Because he's the one with the appointment.
Yeah, whoever's got the best look, someone else can go chat, but I've got the better charm.
That's true.
Pretty decent.
I'll chat him up about my book.
Okay. People are used to having like a lady come and like introduce your personal secretary type of thing.
Yes. I'll wait outside to catch him before he goes in.
And then I'll stay on the inside of the door and be here to. I'll listen for whatever Adele is doing, and then I'll warn.
Yeah.
You if they're coming.
All right. I will quickly go over, investigate the hidden door, see if I can go in. If it's like a long tunnel to a different room, I'll probably come back. But if it's like a closet with cool stuff in it, I'll see what I can see.
All right. Right. So you go in the closet and you have identified there is a secret door there, but it is not immediately obvious how to operate it. Give me a hard spot hidden check.
Come on.
That'll do. Yeah,
Will I get any bonuses if I just spend 3 luck to get that down to a 1 and make it?
No.
Okay.
There's nothing there. You just needed a hard to be able to open the door. There isn't anything else I'll be able to give you to spend the luck, so don't. I mean, if you want to say you got it to a crit, you can do that, but it won't get you anything additional.
Then no, I'm good.
So yeah, it takes you a moment. It takes you just a couple seconds of looking, and you find the fairly well hidden mechanism to operate the latch. With a soft click, the door swings open, and you find yourself looking into what appears to be some kind of storage room.
The Ark of the Covenant's in there. Grab it.
So a couple things sort of leap out at you, as it were. First, you can see as you kind of look through the door, because it's not like you want to enter into a hallway. The door opens into the storage room. You can kind of look to your left, and you see just an ordinary door on that wall. That's what I'll give you for the excellent spot hidden roll. You're able to just sort of mentally pace off the distance, and you realize that door on the left must open onto the hallway that goes past the front desk, essentially. That hallway you walked down and took the first right, that door will open onto that hallway further down it. You were able to see 2 doors on that side of the hallway. That will be the second one. The first is the one you went through. The room contains boxes, crates, old furniture, rolled up rugs, just miscellaneous storage, effectively. Dusty, cobwebbed, clearly unused. You do notice, though, that the door you used and the space just past the end of the room clearly see more use than the rest of the room. There's not a lot of dust built up on the floor right where you're standing. You kind of see a little off to the right, that kind of little path. It's not so much a path as much as an area that isn't quite as dusty, sort of leading off to the right-hand side of the room.
There's a worn path, okay. And you said that goes to the door that goes back to the entrance?
No, off to the left for that door, dusty, cobwebbed,
Gotcha.
disused. But from where you're standing, off to the wall opposite the main door, there's a little area. I call it a path, but it's not that big a room. It's not a long winding thing. It's just like a standard, like a modest master bedroom size kind of space, with a door on the long wall secret door that you just walked through. And you can kind of see that it's not as dusty right from here, just over to the right-hand side of the room.
Gotcha. Okay, then I will quickly make my way over to where that path leads. And is it like, does it stop in front of like a shelf of something, or like just a flat wall in there that I'm walking up to?
If you head over that way, you can sort of track where the dust-free space leads, and you see it leads right to, on the floor, an empty Egyptian sarcophagus.
Oh.
Just sort of sitting on its back on the floor, looking in pretty ill repair, honestly.
Okay, this is going to be my last action before going back into the room, because we've spent some time here. I'm going to in some fashion, maybe knock on it quietly or something, see if the sarcophagus is over top something, or perhaps a door down, or because it's just empty, right? Just the lid's gone and it's just nothing in it.
There's a lid, but it's askew on top of it,
Okay.
and you can kind of see into it. It doesn't have, I say empty. It doesn't have like a mummy in it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do a quick knock or look for some sort of like mechanism that maybe it might open or something like that.
Sure. As sort of the last gasp of your back-to-back fantastic spot hidden rolls, will say you do identify that it has a false bottom that appears to open like a trapdoor.
Nice. Nice. All right, I will, hopefully making very little impact on that situation, track back out, close the door, and go sit down and wait.
All right. While this has been going on, Adele, you walked out into the hallway.
To stop
Okay.
coming into the room.
Lois, that leaves you in the office for just a couple minutes while the doctor's doing his thing. You looking at anything, doing anything, checking anything out?
I didn't have a good spot hidden roll, so unless
We'll assume that
they discuss
people
like
saw it, pointed it out.
look at that safe, look at that picture kind
Cool.
of thing. So I'll maybe take a closer look at those things while I'm in. But there's any writing on the back of the picture frame, or see if there's any details in the picture that I can remember.
Sure.
Like a road sign that says, "Oh, this is Surrey," or something.
So you pick up the frame, take a look at it. You don't see anything conveniently written on the back. It appears to be a fairly unadorned silver frame. The back is just plain paperboard. Inspecting the photograph, it doesn't have any obvious, nothing like a street sign or an obvious landmark. You can't see like Big Ben in the background or anything like that. You do see written in tiny letters on the lower right-hand corner of the picture the words Miser House, except Miser is spelled without its E, which I just put in the chat for the appropriate spelling.
Okay.
And you take a moment to look in the floor safe. You find a packet of white 1-pound notes, all with Gavigan's signature on the back, totaling 100 pounds.
They have his name on the back of the money?
Yeah, they were still able to be used to claim actual pounds of silver at this point.
Oh, okay.
This is not uncommon.
Okay.
They're not currency in quite the same fashion that a modern dollar bill is.
So there was nothing inside the sarcophagus that the doctor could see, but it was open.
Yep.
And it had
The
It was a
miser
trapdoor.
house.
false bottom, so it was a trapdoor to somewhere else.
And a false bottom. Okay. Oh, do we want to go in there?
Not
That's
right now, probably.
after hours activity, I think.
Hmm.
Now that you know how to open the door.
Yeah. Question is, do we want to take any money from him? Probably not.
Let's just leave it be. We're funded.
That was the only thing in the safe, was the money.
Yep.
Okay. And it was hung wide open.
Not wide open. Just hadn't been fully closed. It's not clear whether it wasn't like pushed shut firmly enough to actually engage, whether something got caught, whether it didn't get spun shut. It was just slightly ajar on the floor.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
This would be an excellent opportunity if we had one of those bloody tongue masks or whatever to leave it in his safe or something, so that he knows somebody's watching.
If we want to make him like extra paranoid and guarded.
So the trapdoor is under the sarcophagus, implying that we could climb down from this very office.
Yeah, so the office had a false bookshelf or a false wall, and then behind that was another room the size of a master bedroom, and there was tracks essentially leading to the sarcophagus, and I knocked on it and it sounded like it had false bottom, so it's like a second level trapdoor.
Okay. Well, that's right. Gavigan doesn't like Elias.
Right. Because Elias knew he was shady,
Right.
I assume.
I'm searching for his name through my notes so I can see. Okay, business card.
All right, I think. Yeah, well, DVD is just finishing up, about to come back. Is there anything else Lois wanted to look at in
Nope.
the office?
Oh.
Cool.
Oh, no. I'm good.
All right. So the doc makes his way back into the room, presumably closing the secret door behind him, putting things back as best he can the way they were. A couple more minutes pass, and eventually, Adele, you see a gentleman step into the hallway where you are waiting.
All right, I'm gonna, with my foot on the bottom of the door, like hit it twice, thump thump, so they know something's up. And I will stand there and then loudly say, Mr. Gavigan, it is so wonderful to meet you. I just blah, 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 complimentary bluster.
Sure.
Chad, has he read my book? No, I have a copy right here for you. Let's talk about it. Until I've given it a minute or two, and then we can go in the office.
He stops a bit short as he sees you in the hallway rather than in his office, but recovers quickly and makes small talk with you for just a moment, for walking to the door and opening it and gesturing you in. By this point, Doctor, you're well back. This isn't like close. You finished your thing. You've been sitting. You've had a chance. You've been sitting for just a couple minutes, but it's not. This is not like you got in just under the wire or anything. There's comfortable buffer of time. Gavin walks into the office after you, takes a seat behind his desk, gesturing to the various chairs across from him, and says, "Welcome to the Penhew Foundation. I am told you have some possibly relevant experiences of note or things you'd like to discuss with me, and I am always interested to talk to fellow Egyptologists, or if not dedicated Egyptologists, at least those with some interest in history and the artifacts it can provide us."
Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I see you've already met one of our group members here.
Yes, the esteemed author, Miss Adele. The pleasure is mine, of course. He pats his hand on the book that he's placed on top of his desk.
And then Lois will reach out and give him a firm handshake. Like, I accompanied Miss Adele in our adventures. Hopefully she portrayed me okay in her book.
Well, I must say, it seems the book predates your adventures with her. But
it was
I'm sure she would have glowing things to say if I'd had a chance to hear them.
Was it the Peru stuff or no? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, it's the Peru one. The Lois should be in there.
Oh, I misunderstood. Sorry. Yes.
So it was specifically about the Peru because it had the pyramid, so to show him that we
Got it.
Add these adventures.
Got it. Yes. So, let's see.
I've written lots of books, Matt.
You can't
My
expect to know all of them.
Yeah.
Everyone, give me a psychology roll.
Oh, Doc's got it though. Okay.
Yeah. So, Gavigan talks about sort of the praise and the complimentary nature of Adele's discussion of Lois's participation in the events in Peru. Doctor, he has absolutely not read this book.
That's fair.
I didn't read it either.
So
You got it.
Adele, you do not clock this. He seems to be talking quite cogently about your tales of your adventures in Peru and how Lois saved the day and helped get you through the town and survived a bitter showdown with the strange creature at the end. Yeah.
We are so lucky to have
Didn't
such a
read a
marvel.
peek of it.
I will. So first off, is there any chance that Adele would have mentioned any of these, or even Lois, any of these experiences in Peru that would be in the book, like with the doctor?
Probably. I
I
think so.
assume so. I mean, unless somebody was deliberately trying to keep it from the doctor, I assume in the course of the conversation, as you've been hanging out for weeks now, it would have come up as if nothing else, just background to how they knew Jackson, etc.
Gotcha. Okay, so I will, in an attempt to get the other two to realize that he hasn't read the book, even though this is not a major plot point, I will say something false about the book. Like, did you enjoy the part about the backpacking in the mountains to get there? Or something along those lines. That was my favorite part.
I wrote it so well. What, babe?
Except he's having none of it and will spend luck to get that down to 90.
Oh no.
Because the NPCs have luck also. I will clarify, they don't get to spend 35. Most of them don't get to spend 35 luck to just avoid death. Certain major boss types, maybe, but by and large they can't do that. But they all have access to the same mechanics you do. So he looks at you for a second. Actually, if you would like, I will let you roll fast talk. And if you can succeed, if you can get better than a base success on fast talk.
Good night.
Nope. So he looks at you and, without missing a beat, says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't recall that part in the book. Perhaps I should give it another read. I must have missed something." We'll see. Your good psychology check. You recognize that he has recognized what you're doing and is just probably like, yeah, he knows you are testing him on this and name something. Not because he's read the book. He has just seen what you're trying to do.
Meanwhile,
But you are aware of it. Again, with your hard psychology check, you know what's going on here. It's just he has not fallen into your trap.
Adele does not know what's going on here.
No.
It is very offended.
You're a little confused by the doctor talking about it. You think, has the doctor not read my book?
That wasn't in my book. Are you confusing it for a different book? Don't worry, I'll get another copy for you. I brought a bunch.
Thank you. The one you gave me sitting in my library at home, I didn't bring it with me. Okay. So off to a grand start. Everybody here at the Penhue Foundation loves me.
Well,
I will.
I will also give you on that psychology check, carrying that forward a little bit. It doesn't seem at first blush like he is annoyed or put out. It almost seems like he is enjoying little social chess match you're playing here.
Okay.
Not that he's suddenly inclined to be a bosom buddy, but this feels like this is sort of par for the course. And like this is how people interact. This is the game we play.
Okay. So hopefully all of that conversation opens us up to what actually did happen in Peru and how it ties into Egyptology and pyramids and funky history. And I'll leave it up to the other two to speak about their endeavors.
Cool. And we can summarize this rather than playing it out line for line. What kinds of things are you hoping to ask him about, get information from him about, etc.?
Do we want to try and explore his beef with Elias?
Yeah, to frame this appropriately for you, you've kind of gone through the small talk portion of things. You've presented some of your experiences without giving too much away. Obviously, nothing that you had intended to hide has been revealed. And it appears that you are just having a not quite intimate, but a meaningful conversation with him. That he has sort of met you halfway, and you're able to have sort of a mutual respect kind of conversation.
So we want the juicy stuff. So, like, we've seen some stuff. We want more than the sort of popular, like, society Egyptology. Let's look at neat things and maybe have some mummy tea or something. Like, you know.
Do you know Erica Carlisle?
If you're asking me, I don't know that you have a way of knowing that.
We can just, weren't we going to say that we were known to her and use that as sort of an in?
Yeah.
And say that maybe she pointed us in this direction?
Yes. Are you familiar with our esteemed colleague, Erica Carlisle?
He says, yes. And over the course of the next few minutes with a little back and forth, talks to you about the Carlisle expedition, explaining that Roger Carlisle obtained information from an African woman concerning a shadowy period of Egyptian history about which Sir Aubrey had been interested for a long time. He tells a story about this time, and he makes clear that he does not consider this history. This is not fact. This is just sort of a fable, perhaps, a legend, as it were. Explains that in this ancient time, a sorcerer was reputed to have ruled the Nile Valley. And Roger and Sir Aubrey were intrigued by this and wanted to investigate. Alas, he goes on to say, the information proved to be a hoax. While in Egypt, the African woman who was serving as their guide at the time disappeared with the expedition's ready funds, the amount of roughly 3,500 pounds. He goes on to say, we are gentlemen of the world, are we not? Carlisle counted the lost money as insignificant, but he was deeply affected by the defection of his African lover. Hypatia Masters apparently feared for her health in the heat and disappointment of not finding anything terribly interesting in Egypt. So she suggested the group spend the summer months in the Kenyan uplands where it's cooler, and she could explore her fondness for wildlife photography with some new lenses she had acquired. But it seems they accidentally wandered into territory that perhaps was not as safe as they had been led to believe, or perhaps they found themselves off course and entered territory they didn't mean to. But it seemed it cost them their lives.
Insight check.
Sure, give me a psychology roll.
Did he say what the lady's name was?
Hypatia Masters. Oh, the African lady?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
See, Hypatia was one of the people, we know her from being on the expedition.
One second. So I will tell you that on that roll, he seems perfectly forthcoming. A hard success may get a different result.
I don't know if anyone else wants to try.
Are we all free to try this?
Sure.
I think you've got the best shot if you want to push with luck.
So what would a hard success cost, Matt? In luck?
That would be 4 luck.
To be a hard success?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll spend 4.
All right. On that, it's clear that there are things he isn't saying.
So what he's saying is true, but he may be leaving some things out.
Adele will lean in and, in her most charming way possible, Mr. Gavigan, I think that we all want the same thing, including the safe return of everyone involved on the Carlisle expedition. Is there something more that you could tell us that may help?
He looks at you,
charm, whatever.
kind of raises an eyebrow, and says, I am certain the safe return of the expedition would be marvelous. Unfortunately, as they have all perished, it does not seem likely as an outcome.
I believe you have talked to Erica Carlisle, who can vouch for our expertise in some of the more occult and supernatural in this world. The Carlisle expedition is not dead.
He sort of tilts his head forward, looks at you, says that would certainly be wonderful if it were true.
If you told us a little more, we could perhaps confirm this. I don't know, something to try and convince him to spill the beans. Spill the beans, mister.
Yeah, it does not. He does not seem susceptible to such efforts.
Trying to reduce the heat on the conversation, maybe DVD's gonna pull out that transcribed page and try to bring conversations back to the occult and spooky and kind of our expertise in the field, and just try to embellish ourselves a bit more and say, we've run across this on our travels. Put it on his desk and kind of speak a little bit about it. I don't know what exactly we transcribed, but just proof that we've got information.
Sure. He takes an interest in the work. Yeah, and seems impressed is too strong a word, but seems to respect the scholarship involved here. Um, but takes an interest in a fairly like professional respect kind of way rather than a personal I'm fascinated by this, please tell me more kind of way.
Gotcha. And then I'm going to also, well, I don't know. What was the group feeling on revealing the scar on Elias's forehead? Like it's probably public knowledge, no?
Either that or the knife.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we want to talk about Jackson Elias because they didn't get along unless we were posing as our enemy too somehow,
Mhm.
or we didn't get along with him either. But I'm not sure how he would do that. You could bring out the knife instead.
Sure, I will stand up and kind of raise the side of my jacket and pull out this African throwing knife or hand knife or whatever it is. Um, Say we also found this. This is interesting. I think it's from the. It's is it Kenyan? I can't remember if we investigated that or not.
I don't think you have that information.
I will make a bluff then and say I'm actually quite certain it's from the region of Africa that it sounds like the expedition went through.
Give me a. I mean, it's going to be fast talk.
I'll give it another go.
I mean, so I am happy
Fair.
to. If you can make a case for something else, by all means tell me, but this sure sounds like, first blush, you know you don't know, and you're trying to convince him that you do know that it's from that area of Africa. That sounds like fast talk, though. If you can frame it differently, I'm all ears.
No, that's fair enough. Because persuade you have to have like the knowledge behind it that you're trying to convince somebody. Um,
I mean,
the overall goal really isn't to like prove to him that I know where it's from. It's just to the whole point that I'm trying to do here is like get a right like if I can see him go, oh wow, okay, what is that or whatever. That's what I'm trying to do. But I'll
okay.
roll fast talk.
We don't
Fast
want
talk.
to. We don't want to intimidate him or make him nervous around us. If we know too much, then
Yeah.
he might be skittish.
Sure. If the goal is just kind of.
I'll push that. Give me or not push it. I'll use luck. That was close as hell. That was real close.
That was.
Oh shit. Okay.
So, let's see. He will. Where did I put his sheet?
Again, the goal here is to do like a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more type situation.
We're one of you. You can trust us.
Sure. So I'm going to have him. No, you know what? It's fine. So he kind of looks at the knife, and so you show him the knife, and explain that you think it's from the region of Africa that the expedition went to. What kind of context are you present? Like, why are you telling him you're showing him this knife? Basically,
Right. So stage one was the transcript that is just tying this back to the occult and to oldest region. Stage two is showing him the knife to show like I'm dialing in our knowledge base um, into that area. So like I'm putting the screws to him a bit because if he knows about that and he knows that we know about that area and maybe he thinks we know what's going on, so I'll say I've also got this and I'll lay it out on his table and say it's something interesting we ran across in our travels and we're doing research and stuff. Um, Found it at a a local bargain shop, which was part of the fast talk or something.
Sure.
And if he is familiar with the knife, he'll be like, "What bargain shop, dude?"
Yeah, he seems to, sort of take you at your word that this knife is what you say it is. He doesn't appear thrown off by your saying you found it at a bargain shop. Like that's what it essentially amounts to. It's a very interesting find that he looks at a bit of a loss as to why you're showing this to him. Like, cool. You came to my office and showed me an African throwing knife. Neat. It's neat. Like, yep. I mean, it seems like you've succeeded in what you set out to do. Like, yep, you established, you know what this knife is. You have this knife. You recognize it. It's from that area of Africa. And he appears to be on board with all of this.
All right, so group consensus: are we getting a bit more brazen with this, or are we letting off the gas?
I mean, have we gotten anything of value from him other than knowing we want to come back and raid his office?
Not that I can tell.
Do we want to threaten? I mean, we don't want to threaten him, but I don't know. I feel like we want to push a little harder. I don't think we've gotten much here.
All right. So
But maybe what we're getting isn't going to be given freely. Maybe
Yeah.
hours stuff, but maybe it's further things like, oh, do you have any cool secret meetings that we can come to and meet some more of your awesome people in your club? Because maybe that lady, what's her name, is in the club.
Sahara?
Who knows? Who knows who we might meet? Like, we're trying to establish colleagues here. We're from America, so we want to find more like-minded individuals here that are, again, interested in something beyond just the surface level Egyptology, fashionable talk. Who's people who are going to talk about the weird stuff.
what was the name of the monster or deity or whatever it was that brought us on the boat?
A rust monster?
Yeah, but it was like something that came down in a meteor or something.
Yeah.
I think we got that information somewhere because we
I don't
needed
remember.
its name to expel it.
Let's see. Okay, so the ship was the tactic.
Oh, wait. There was something that was PTHAL.
Yeah, Polytech.
Polytech.
PTHALLECH.
That sounds Egyptian. I'll bring it up and say, have you ever heard mention of the name politic?
I'm afraid that doesn't mean anything to me. Perhaps some context would help?
Yeah, we don't want to say that we fought a rust monster. I'll kind of do a half truth here and say, in our travel over, we came across a ghost ship, it would seem, the HMS Arpactic. We attempted to salvage the vessel. It's worth quite a bit of money. And while we were there, it was written on the wall on the inside of the boat. Very strange. I believe it has Egyptian ties, so I figured you'd at least be interested.
He sort of frowns a little bit and says, I'm afraid I don't know that name. And if you'll forgive a bit of hubris, I will say if it were any sort of prominent figure in Egyptology, I'd expect that I would. Name Arpactic rings something of a bell. A ship that was lost some years back. That you found it is certainly news in and of itself. Indeed, I suppose congratulations are in order then. Though I'm afraid that name doesn't mean anything in particular to me.
It's our check.
Though I will acknowledge my area of expertise is a fairly narrow focus on Egypt.
Was you lying about that?
Give me a psychology roll. Hard to read.
Yeah.
Someone else we talked to, I think they told us it might have been Sumerian and not Egyptian. So, maybe that's why.
Entirely possible. These cultures, as related as they may be, each is a wide and rich trove of historical detail, and I have focused my career on Egypt, while ancient Sumer, Acadia, the Abyssinian Empire are all fascinating historical subjects in their own rights, and admittedly closely related to my area of expertise. I'm afraid I have no particular insight into. A shortcoming on my part, but I find the rich history of Egypt to be more than any one man can consume already.
So, have we gotten the sense that he believes any of the occult stuff of this, or is he just an Egyptology fob?
I'd say at this point, based on a couple of psychology rolls and the conversation, I don't think you've got a great read. He hasn't seemed to really bite on anything sort of supernatural that you've hinted at or laid down. But you also, I don't think, have gotten a vibe that he is a modern scientific rationalist that would reject everything of the kind out of hand. But anything you've tried so far, at the very least, hasn't seemed to, get a rise out of him in particular.
All right, but we do want in his rich guy occult club, though, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we can just hint to be like, hey, but who do we talk to about the good stuff?
Yes. Yeah, we got to butter him up a bit. So, yeah, well, Mr. Carlyle, we are acknowledge your expertise in Egyptology, and we don't want to take up too much of your precious time. Are there other people, like-minded individuals, that we could perhaps also discuss this with? People you recommend?
Well, we are fortunate to live in a time when the study of Egypt and its history is on the rise amidst all the, let's say, people worth knowing in academic circles. I'm quite certain you can find any number of people to discuss the rich and varied history of Egypt with.
But who do you recommend?
Oh my. I'm afraid I'm not in a position to provide introductions per se, though if you would like, I would be happy to walk you through our exhibits, and on certainly a trial or temporary basis, give you access to the Foundation as a whole, should you wish to return, visit, and see who else may be about for you to discuss such things with.
Yes.
We totally want that.
Simple enough. I shall pass your names to Bertrand, and you may avail yourselves of our exhibits, our study rooms, and certainly anyone you encounter here who wishes to converse with you.
Cool. Do we get like a lanyard or something? Like, is it going to be like an open door, like, oh, we can come in and flash our little ID badge or something like that? Or is this still an invitation only kind of deal?
Oh, you may visit whenever you wish. Simply talk to Bertrand at the front desk. I will provide him let him know that you are to be allowed entrance.
And if we were interested in acquiring some of the more interesting occult items, do you have any recommendations for people or shops? Strictly confidential, of course.
Oh, I'm afraid I do not. I have seen too many things to discount the possibility of that which science does not explain. But I find I am familiar enough with it to know I need no further contact with anything of the sort.
All right, can I roll psychology on that to see if he's bullshitting us?
Sure.
I want to know if he's actively engaged in what he believes to be the occult. Just burning luck.
Spend the luck.
Yeah, that's right.
Spend the
Spend the
luck.
luck.
Cool. Yeah. He doesn't. He seems relatively forthright.
Okay.
It doesn't appear like he's concealing some deep interest in, the black market of the occult or anything of the sort.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I think the big find here is the trapdoor and the sarcophagus. I don't know that we're gonna get any more information out of him.
Well, now we have access to the foundation too.
Right.
So
Should we have him give us a tour?
sure. See if we
Yeah.
can spot our hidden doors anywhere.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. I would love a tour, Mr. Bertrand.
All right.
Can I see
Yes.
the photograph of that house from where I'm sitting?
Probably not real well.
Okay.
And it's not hidden on the desk, but it's simply turned to face him at a bit of an angle. You could attempt to, certainly on your way out, turn and get a decent glance at it, and I want to be clear, it's not as if it is concealed in any way. It's just you're on this side of the desk, and it's turned to face his side of the desk.
Yes, well, as we stand up to wait for our tour, if I walked around, because of course he's going to offer his arm to me, as any gentleman would. If I got a glimpse of it from there, I would like to ask him about it.
All right, give me a charm roll.
I'm gonna push it.
All right.
Wait.
Well, he's getting up from his desk. I'm gonna hike everything that needs to be hiked. Fluff my hair. Ugh, even worse. Nope.
Oh no.
And I accidentally fart.
No, but as you stand and hold out your arm, he doesn't appear inclined to take it. You make a point of hiking what needs to be hiked. And he kind of frowns and steps back and says, Miss, I'm afraid I may have given you quite the wrong impression of the relationship we are establishing here. I think it would perhaps be best for everyone if you were to take your leave at this point. You may feel free to visit the Foundation in future as we have agreed, but yes, let's avoid discomfort on all sides, and perhaps I shall see you again at some future point. Good day.
So,
Okay, somebody's not used to Americans.
well, we can give ourselves a tour if we want to do a quick once over before we.
I'll give
Commit.
myself a tour, jerk.
Yeah, we'll do. Self-guided tour.
Do you exit his office? He closes the door behind you, but you are just sort of in the building.
All right, let's give ourselves a tour.
Oh,
See what we recognize, if anything stands out.
Sure,
Look
so
like-
you are on sort of the main floor. You find yourselves out in the hallway behind the front desk. And we'll, to recall, you sort of came in the main doors at the front. So from the front of the building, the main doors are set back into the building a little bit. You go up some stairs to get to them. In that area behind you as you come in the front doors, there are two rooms with just some chairs and small tables in them that appear to be some sort of, visiting areas, perhaps light study areas. There's not a lot of privacy, obviously, but you could certainly sit there with a book and some notes or whatnot. Then right in front of the front doors is the front desk that Bertrand sits at. Then behind that desk is the long hallway, along the right side of which are the two doors, the first of which you went through to get to his office, the second of which is what the doctor will have realized is the room to the storeroom. The door to the storeroom, rather. There are 4 doors along the left-hand side of that hallway and a door at the far end of the hallway. Do I actually have... Hang on.
I want to see. Remember that at the club, the Pyramid Club, we found that a napkin or a book with all of those names in it.
yeah, that's where someone had written down his fake name.
Yeah.
Bartholomew Ballark.
Did we sign in when we came here in a guest book?
No.
Okay.
Well, this is wildly askew, but we're gonna call this even.
Was there any kind of a guest book?
No. They just took sort of Bertrand just kind of took names.
Okay.
No. Wow, you're just not gonna let me do that, are you?
We should be
Cool.
asking around at all these places for that fake name to see if he's checked in anywhere.
Is Sir Aubrey Penhew someone that would be still alive, or is he long gone? That's just his
Wasn't he with the expedition? No. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. He's one of the victims.
Gotcha.
Or maybe not.
All right, so I just drawn a very rough sketch on top of the visual here. Door back there, door to the storeroom, door you went through to get to the office. 4 doors evenly spaced along this wall, 2 doors on this wall, a door and a staircase on this wall. None of this is to scale at all, just to give you some idea of what we're talking about here.
All right,
Well-
let's.
The closest door is going to be the storeroom door, right?
On this wall, sure. The 4 doors directly across the hallway from you are technically closest. But, yeah, the storeroom door
Is it
approximately
labeled
here,
storeroom?
and you've come out approximately here.
Is it labeled storeroom?
No,
Awesome.
just unmarked door.
The doctor's going to take a quick right or left or whichever direction and go and attempt to open the storeroom door.
It's locked.
Take it.
There's like people here right now.
I was just going to say, oh, my mistake. I thought this was part of the library or the whatever. All right. Well, then, pick a door. Let's go through it and take a look.
Yeah, looking for artifacts that match up with things that we found. Hidden doors.
Yeah, while they're doing that, I'll just keep a spot hidden, just constantly going.
Sure.
And I'm going to be spotting or keeping an eye on people and who's watching us.
And I'm looking for particularly occulty items because I have 75 in occult.
Yeah, so on this floor, you don't run into anyone. Bertrand continues to be at the sort of front desk. He's kind of keeping an eye on you, but doesn't appear inclined to interfere. I'll say, right. So this door at the far end of the hallway appears to go outside, goes out to the yard behind the building. There's a set of stairs that leads up. At the very back end of this hallway, the 4 rooms along the left-hand side. On the far end, is just has like tables and chairs. It appears to be some kind of just staff room. The 2 doors in the middle along that side are library rooms. They've got just shelves and books and a couple small tables with chairs for reading at them. The room most towards the front is an office. It's got a desk, an office chair, various accoutrements of a working office, though no one is in it at the moment. Continuing towards the front, there's another staircase up right in here. The ladies' restroom is here. The men's restroom is here.
Let's see if there's a way to sneak in through the restrooms.
And obviously, the 2 rooms at the front that appear to just be sort of social/gathering areas. Though nobody appears to be using them at the moment.
Forgot to ask, are there windows in Bertram's office? Or not Bertram, Gavigan's office?
Yes, there are windows. So his office is... So you went through a door about here. There's a little hallway just inside it. His office is inside that. There were 3 windows along the outside wall of his office.
Were they gated in any manner?
No, just windows.
Cool.
You obviously can't tell if they were locked or watched or anything else, but they don't have like bars on them or anything like that. No.
Okay. Something we might be able to slip like something thin at the top and pop the latch and maybe, I don't know. Anyway, that's a possible mode of entry after hours.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in the ladies' restroom and scope it out. Is there a window in there that could be propped open?
Yep, there is a window on the far wall that lets light in from the outside. The glass is frosted, so you can't see through it.
Does it swing out? Or is it like a casement window, whatever that's called?
It's appears to be a double, probably a single hung window, actually. That could potentially be opened.
I'm going to try to very carefully and quietly open it.
All right. You begin to work at it a little bit. To start with, the window is locked, but it's a single window latch. That's easy enough to move. As you try and lift it, it appears stuck. It doesn't really want to move as you push at it, and you look more closely. It looks like it's been painted shut.
I'm going to get one of my metal nail files and try and scrape away on that seam of paint that has it painted closed.
Sure. Straightforward enough. You can break through the paint and open just, the whatever around it, sort of free it from the paint. That's not really a problem.
Now, is it able to open just even slightly?
You tug on it. You suspect you can move it if you put your back into it.
Lois, are you in here with me?
Yes, girls always go to the bathroom together.
Yeah, we do. All right. What's your strength? Maybe you should try it. I'm not very. What?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's 80.
Lois stubs out her cigarette. Like, okay, let me do it.
And I'll help if that gives her an extra die or something.
Before doing that, give me a. Well, hang on to that roll. That's fine. Give me a mechanical repair roll.
I'll try to.
I'll push mine. Or no, I'm not going to push mine. I'll use luck.
Cool. Yeah, so Adele calls you over to help with the window. And you take a quick look and kind of grab the handle and tug out a little bit and look at the ropes coming up from the sides of that bottom window. And you're pretty sure that you can open this window. Like that's not going to be a thing. You don't suspect you can open this window without making kind of a racket.
These old.
It does not seem like it's going to move smoothly and silently. This window hasn't been moved in a bit. Who knows how often the wood has swollen and shrunk with humidity, or what good repair it was in to begin with. You are not confident that you can open this without it being pretty loud.
When was this plan concocted? Once you went in the restroom, or was this like, hey, I'm gonna go in the restroom and see if I can open the window?
I was just gonna go in the restroom and see what was in here.
Okay, then never
We don't need to open it. I was just curious.
Yeah, let's hold
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
Mechanically,
the trouble.
the window is totally openable. That won't be an issue at all. There will be a roll for trying to open it quietly.
Okay.
Not impossible, but it is not as simple as a modern, newly installed window that just sort of slides open and shut.
Okay.
But aside from having been painted shut, there's no particular security on it. It's just a window. Like,
Well, at the very least, we can come back at night and open it from the outside. And if we make noise, nobody's here.
It's true.
Well, there's a security guard here.
We
actually.
need someone to invent modern car alarms so there can be a car alarm going off across the street while we do this.
I mean, there was noisy things 100 years ago. I'll think of another distraction.
Yeah, with the invention of the car alarm, I'm sure there's the invention of a building alarm as well. So
Ow.
I think we won out on that bet. All right. Well, option number one, the women's restroom. How large is the window? Like a large window, or just
not particularly large, not particularly small. It's like a fairly standard double hung, essentially house window. It's not in any way fancy. But unless you are a particularly large person, you can shimmy through it.
okay?
Go check the men's room.
Sure. I'll relieve myself and scope out the men's room.
Sure. You go into the men's room, and we'll save a little time and say you find much the same thing. The window is locked and painted shut, but not like secured.
Sure. All right. Are we gonna finish out our self-guided tour, or have we seen enough?
No, let's see if there's any occult things in here, or I don't know. May as well take the full tour so we don't miss anything.
Sure. So what? We gotta go upstairs now. There's no downstairs, right?
You don't see any stairs that go down, no.
Okay. Well, there's clearly a downstairs.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's go up the stairs and do the same once over. See what's going on.
Cool. You head upstairs. The upper floor, the top floor of the building, is almost entirely devoted to Egyptian exhibits. There are bits of statuary, pottery, a couple full, in good repair sarcophagi, a bunch of artifacts in glass cases, etc. in the sort of broad main area of the floor. Both walls and the floor is essentially the size of from this wall back to the back wall. So it's a slightly smaller than the total first floor, but not much. And the vast majority of it taken up with an exhibit hall, some support pillars running down the middle, and both exterior walls lined with windows, letting plenty of natural light into the room. There are a few rooms along the northern wall and along the southern wall. You can check those out. The walls along, we'll say the rooms along the northern wall, there are 3 of them. Appear to be just file rooms. You can look in them. They've just got filing cabinets. When the door opens, you can see rows of filing cabinets on either side. They're small rooms. Basically, you can picture like maybe 10 feet deep and just enough space between the filing cabinets to sort of walk in, but you couldn't open matching drawers on either side all the way. They'd run into each other in the middle of the room. On the southern wall is one more filing room, though a bit more spacious. It has filing cabinets along all 4 walls, and then 2 other rooms that have dedicated lamps hanging from the ceiling directly over tables, brightly illuminating the tables. You sort of assume these are some kind of examination rooms to look at artifacts in detail, etc. You can see magnifying glasses, small brushes, various other archaeological accoutrements
Can like
to look at bits in detail.
taste the table. Oh, mummy dust. I knew it.
Does in fact taste like mummy dust. And then on the far left-hand side of the northern wall is you see the gated doors to a small elevator.
Ooh.
Does it seem like an off-limits elevator, or like if somebody stumbled to the elevator, it might be just part of more of the exhibit?
It's not signed in any way. It's just open to the exhibit hall. It's got one of those sliding, like, diamond sort of steel hinged thing gates in front of it, an elevator.
And we know this to be the top of this is the top floor of the building?
Yes. Yeah, you're able to see it's 2 stories. From outside, you can see it's 2 stories tall.
And there was no guardrail around the top of the building, right?
No.
Okay. Give it a go.
Take the elevator. Also, as we were walking around, did the exhibits seem, number 1, legit, and number 2, at all impressive, or is it just like the standard Egyptian tourist stuff?
Let's see. Where's what I'm looking for? Yeah. So, anybody who would like to can make an archaeology roll to evaluate the quality of the exhibits.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Nice. Yeah. Adele, you look at the exhibits, they all seem legit.
Are they like
Oh, go ahead.
good?
Yes. Yeah. And they're not of the quality that you expect would immediately be seized by the royal family for the good of the empire. But they're all legitimate, like, high quality archaeological finds. This isn't just cluttered with little tiny potsherds.
Yeah.
There are full pieces of intact ancient Egyptian pottery. The sarcophagi are in excellent condition, entirely original. They haven't been restored or anything like that. There are some scrolls with original hieroglyphics on them, still largely legible, also that haven't been restored by anyone. This is all legitimate, as far as you can tell, like Egyptology stuff. Like, this would be a place that a legitimate Egyptologist could go and study artifacts from ancient history.
And when we passed through the library, Adele would have done a quick look through the books. Were there any interesting books in there? Authors you recognize, topics you recognize?
And insofar as you're familiar with Egyptology, sure.
Okay.
It's well stocked with appropriate works on the subject. In terms of anything beyond just Egyptology, no, nothing leapt out at you. It's not. You didn't see any, odd tomes discussing ancient gods, anything like that. But it was well stocked with scholarly research on Egypt.
Okay, but nothing, no Peruvian death cults.
Right. Exactly.
And Why I Love Them by Red T. Herring. To the elevator then.
Yeah, give the elevator a try.
Cool. So you go to the elevator, slide the door open, find a simple lever mechanism inside, work the lever, have it take you down to the ground floor. Elevator descends, and you are, and it comes to the bottom. You see there are doors on the first floor. There are doors on either side of you. Based on your understanding of the space, the doors to the south should open onto the staff room. The doors to the north, it's less clear. It feels like they would open out into the yard.
Check the north door, right?
Cool. You slide open the door to the north, and you are in fact looking at the exterior of the building. But these doors open out into the coal chute. Not terribly full right now, but you can see this is where coal is delivered for use in the building.
The coal chute.
How big is it? Is it big enough for a person to get through?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, you're in. So the chute itself is set down a little bit into the ground. There's a bit of a wall containing it. You can sort of see over the wall, just sort of into the outside, and see you're looking out onto the walled-in rear yard of the building. So your view of the ground and details sort of blocked by the wall of the coal chute itself to keep the coal in. But there's plenty of space here for a person to be. Presumably, this is where one could then, haul coal from into the building.
Cool. Good to know.
so I don't even know how a coal chute works. It's just a hole in the ground that people dump coal into to
Yep.
heat the building.
Yep.
So it leads directly to the furnace. So if somebody were to go down into it, they would be in the furnace, or is there like
No.
a basement room that's?
Yes, it would lead down to a basement room, and in fact, the lever in the elevator has one more stop on it for a lower floor.
It leads to the garbage chute. You can throw naughty children down.
Okay, interesting. I don't know that we want to do that during business hours, but
Go in the coal chute or throw naughty children in there.
yeah, both of them. And you said the other direction led to the staff room. Is that accessible, I assume, through the building as well?
Yes. Now, you found that room when you were looking through the first floor. It was the rearmost door on the left-hand wall of the hallway of the first floor.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we've checked out the building. We've got at least 2 forms of egress that we could mess around with at night. There is a guard, I believe, at night, right? There's like a 24-hour guard.
Yep.
He's very good at his job.
Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to do in this building?
No one else is here? No other people?
There are a variety of staff sort of around. You haven't seen any visitors. There were a couple people moving about between library rooms. And you've seen a couple guards during the day that appear to be staffing it during, quote unquote visiting hours. A couple outside, couple stationed inside, the exhibit hall, just kind of keeping an eye on the exhibits and anybody who comes through here. There's at least one librarian working in one of the libraries, and a couple other guards you've seen just sort of moving about.
Do you want to talk to the librarian? I don't know. It seems like anything that's out for public consumption is fine. So
Right.
Yeah. They probably don't keep their cool secret cult books out where anyone can get them.
We were told what Zara does, right, for a living. We know where she's located and her office and things.
Yeah,
Pretty
she owns a
clear.
spice shop.
That's right. I'm wondering if there's a connection between the two, and if there is, if she comes into the building. Although I don't want to stake this place out for like a month. Okay. Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay, so we'll just walk out of the front of the building. Again, I will apologize and thank Bertram, and I'm sure he already knows, but remind him that we're now temporary members and we've got access to look at everything. Look forward to seeing him
Sure.
soon.
Let you know you are welcome to visit again during normal business hours, he emphasizes.
Sounds good. When else would we visit?
Cool. As you exit, this seems a perfectly reasonable time to take a quick break. Restroom, snacks, drinks, what have you. Back in a few.
Good.
Yep.
was very nice, but it was so hot. And the place where we stay doesn't have air conditioning, so it was hot and wet.
Ooh. Yeah. We have recently put air conditioning units in all the cottages up north just because it's the summers just haven't been getting.
Even just one where you sleep, because oh my god, it was just brutal. And it was there's been so much rain, everything is just humid. I had to bleach my shoes when I came back. They're just like canvas shoes, and they smelled like mildew. I got them wet in the lake, and I don't know if I didn't rinse them well enough, but yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I remember Monday and Tuesday were particularly awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we go upstairs and it's like 80. Like, oh my god, I can't sleep in 80. I used to be able to, but now I'm just a little, princess in the pea. I can't. It's too hot.
I can't sleep in the heat. I mean, yeah, I grew up without air conditioning. I didn't have air conditioning in college. It's fine, I guess. I like it, but we become too accustomed to our.
Yes, we were younger and healthier back then. Now I can't. Other than that, it was very nice. We did a little kayak trip and saw some in a clear bottom kayak. Did some shipwreck tour in the kayak. That was fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of kayaking for those of us who don't, do such things routinely. Let's just say I didn't get this physique by extensive working out.
It was nice, though. It was, yeah.
It was. Instead, we should do the cave tour next year.
Yeah. It's like caves on Lake Michigan via kayak. Yeah, I've heard of that. Cool.
That was,
did like the underwater caves where you have to swim to the cave, like do that. I did that once. I'll never do that again.
Yep. Nope.
Mm.
Not a chance in hell.
Too much of a chicken. It sounds awesome, but I would freak out.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was like the Aegean Sea. The water was like turquoise and all very beautiful. But
do you go rope, or they just have you just do it?
Oh no, this was all super shady. Like,
oh my
god. You go along the docks and just flag down some random Turk or Greek with a boat. Give them $100 and they'll take you out for the day and do whatever.
Yep. It sounds lovely, but yeah, I would panic.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, yes, and you go in there and there's a spring and you're supposed to drink it and it gives you whatever.
Life. Yeah.
Life or something. Yeah. It was memorable.
Braver people than me. Sounds great. I will sit in my little kayak with my life vest on, my water bottle.
Yeah, I get into enough trouble with the kayaks these days when I just do it in the summertime, and like I work out, but like there's a special like muscle group or something that I'm not exercising normally because I'll like be like paddling into the wind. If you accidentally go with the wind on your way out, and then you're like, oh no, I'm gonna blow away if I don't get back to the or whatever, and you're just like. And then you're sore the next day all throughout your neck and shoulders.
I must have those muscles because I do fine kayaking. It was my lower back because they don't have good seats. So you'd sit back and it would just collapse behind you. So my lower back.
The foot braces?
No. So I did a 2-person with Elodie.
Okay.
So that was half of our problem was little Elodie was in the front. And big ass me. So I was real low to the water because the person in the front wasn't literally holding her weight. So we got a little farther out where there's some more of the breakwaters on Lake Michigan, and like Elodie was looking over the side, and we had to get pumped out twice because we kept swamping the kayak. Other than that, I did it.
Just have her, if she's not pulling, have her just bail.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, if I was in the middle, it probably would have been fine, but because I was way back and she's so much smaller, it was, yeah. I was riding real low in the water. But it was pretty. It was a beautiful day.
It was a really good day.
My family has a house in the middle of Pennsylvania, Indian Heads near Seven Springs. We go skiing all the time. But in the summer, there's a river that runs in the back. It's to kayak down. You drive 2 vehicles down to the bridge, maybe a mile and a half down, and you drive them back, kayak down. I went out for a guy's trip into college or so, and I've got a buddy who's super hard-headed. He gets it in his mind he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it. And there's a rock out there that we gauge the water level so you don't bottom out. Terrible time. It's low. So the water was low on the rock, and I was like, hey man, I don't think it's gonna happen today. He's like, oh no, it'll be fine. We all got convinced somehow. It was fine for about a quarter mile of the 2-mile trek, and then after that it was just like you just scraping the ground and not moving. So you get out, move your kayak, get back in, and it was. I swear to God, we walked in with our kayak in hand like a mile in the water. Terrible.
That's the worst.
It was like a 7-hour. It should have been like an hour and a half. It was like a 7-hour endeavor.
Last year, it was Wisconsin River and it was low. And I go on this annual tubing trip. And if the water's too high, it's too dangerous. And if it's too low, you're just dragging all your tubes and the tubes that have your coolers and everything in it. And it was like, it took us, again, it's usually maybe 3 hours, and it was about 8 hours last time, and it was in the 90s, and it was the worst day ever.
We did that once up north. Remember my friend Nicole, who was in my bridesmaid in my wedding?
Oh, she was fun. Yeah, she did those girl camps.
Yeah, we went up north to do a girls' weekend, and part of it was tubing. And then one of our coworkers came with, and she was not very fit and had bad knees, so she couldn't get in and out of her tube very easily. So someone had to drag Patty along, and so we took our turns packing Patty. So you had to drag your own tube, the tube with the coolers, and Patty.
That must have been really embarrassing for her.
She knew us well enough. It was okay. And also, we were helped by the fact that one of the coolers was full of booze. So we just, during the floaty parts, you snacked on sandwiches and drank your drink. And
I always like on my tubing trips, everyone has a lot of booze. I always would pack just a few light beers and then a lot of water, because I grew up on the Rock River, and I learned, or like as a kid, like rivers are death. Like rivers are danger, life vests, and you shouldn't go in a river. So I'm already being stupid by being in a river in the first place. So like I won't drink too much, just because I'm like, danger, river danger. And like the year before last, someone died that same day, like from somebody's boat ramming into somebody else's boat, and then someone tried to pull someone out of the water and got pulled in himself, and then they never even found his body. Like when we got back to the place we're supposed to, like, because they would have a bus and they would drop you off however many miles upriver, and then you'd float down back to the resort. So once we got back to the resort, it's just police taping ambulances everywhere. Like, oh my God. And we couldn't even like stay. We would usually go there and then have some more beers and a burger or something. Yeah. Like, nope, everyone has to leave. It's
everybody out.
We're dredging the river for bodies. I don't think I'm gonna go on that trip anymore. It's kind of sucked the last couple of years.
Yeah, we did not not like whitewater rafting, but we did whitewater rafting one time when I must have been in college, but they didn't give us helmets or or anything. Like they just put us in a tube, like, good luck, may the Lord be with you. And I, thinking back on that, like, oh shit, that was really dangerous. I wouldn't, if Elodie asked me to do that, I would say no. That shit's dangerous.
I saw on the news today, like a paraglider crashed because his parachute thing collapsed. I remember when I was in high school and I was in the hang gliding club. Like, yeah, my kids do that. Like, no, that's really dangerous, actually.
I had forgotten you were in the hang gliding club. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taken aback that there was a hang gliding club.
In Madison?
Got it.
Of course there was.
If you can do it outside, you know, there's hoofers,
Yeah,
horseback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's all sorts of hoofers stuff. But yeah, they go out to Whitewater, actually, in the morning, because there's lots of good hills over there, and you practice running and taking off and landing, and then there's an airport, and they would drag you up with an ultralight airplane and let you go at high altitude, and then you glide the rest of the way down.
Cool.
At some point, I think it was probably my freshman year, at some point I gained my sense of mortality. 19, I think. It seems about the right time. When I started thinking, like, oh God, I could die.
Yeah.
That's a really far way to go.
Right. You don't want to live your life in fear and never do anything, but also, this is particularly dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of particularly dangerous,
we break into this place or what?
You have left the Penhew Foundation. Your hired car is on the street, driver in, ready to take you wherever you want to go.
Well, we certainly can't come back here until night. Jake, you said you put current objectives.
I did. It's not up to date by any means, but it's everything I could remember and read into an overarching goal, and then
Where did you put that?
it's in the journal entries under group goals.
Oh, okay. Not in Discord.
No, it's in. I know there's some stuff that's in Cairo that we want to look at. I just didn't know what it was, so I didn't write it down. And there's also some stuff in Kenya. I think we want to do Cairo to Kenya at some point, probably. There's also a professor in Australia. It seems like Africa's probably the end goal situation. So I don't know how that looks, because Australia's like, what, 2 months on a boat or a month on a boat or something?
Where did you put it? So I'm in journals. I see Adrift, Public Evidence, Darkness Beneath the Hill, Edge of Darkness, Masks. Is it under one of those?
It's not directly under masks. Do I have to add permission or something?
Yeah, I've just updated the permissions on it, so we should be able to see
There we go.
and edit it.
My bad. I didn't realize there was permission set with it.
No particular reason you should.
Yeah, so as you guys remember and or have time, just throwing random things in here. It's kind of like secondary notes, I suppose.
Don't forget the weird art guy here in London. That's, I think, a thing we could do on the side while we're waiting for stuff to happen here. If, like, we've got a day or two that we're not doing anything or we're waiting for something.
I remember the dog, or like the beasts at that town.
Yeah, that's out of town, but in town.
Weird art, yeah.
There's the shock canvases craze.
A little off topic, but that just reminded me. Has anybody seen? I think I brought it up also. Cabinet of Curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's on my list. Is it good?
I think it's pretty good. There's one. It's like little one-offs that are all directed by different thriller/horror directors. And there's one where there's like an artist and he meets this other guy who's all disheveled and whatever, and he's in an art class and he's like drawing these just horrifying paintings, and then blah blah blah, story goes on and plot twist and cool things.
Cool.
Anyways, car, I don't know where to after. Probably I assume we're gonna make. Are we gonna try to do this thing without Denny?
No, we should spend the last bit of time tonight just killing time until it's evening, and then our next session, Denny can be here.
Do we want to? I mean, is the shop canvas thing, is that like a month-long tour that's just constantly going on?
Well,
What was that?
Isn't it the shock, the art thing? The guy who's making crazy art.
Ah. Yeah, so I guess I don't know. It depends on how you'd want to approach it. There isn't. I don't think there's anything there that's fundamentally like you need to wait for a month or anything is being dragged on for a while.
We can investigate Empire Spices. That's where Zahara. That's the shop she owns. We just want to go in there and pretend we're buying spices. So there's that. So she owns Empire Spices.
You guys have met like at the club. I don't think she's met any of us, so I don't think
Oh yeah, didn't we say we wanted to invest though in her spices shop?
Yeah, there was that.
Let me see.
remember she was just kind of like, I don't care about. She was pretty cool. Like she didn't care about any of our nonsense.
But I don't think her shop is like the place we want to investigate. Maybe it's her shop. I don't know. We don't really have anything to report to the investigator that we're in cahoots with. Did we ever? We never reported that. So when we were at the Pyramid Club, or the Egypt Club, we talked to the waitress after hours, and she was talking about like the truck coming in and out. We never reported that to him. It wasn't like big enough.
We never what? I'm sorry. What did you say?
We never reported what the waitress told us at the club about the truck that came every like month or some sort of sporadic schedule.
Like reported it to the police?
Yeah, the inspector that we're working.
I guess not. We can always go to him and tell him where we are so far with the investigation.
We never asked Mickey Mahoney about Gavigan. Because Mickey was friends with Elias.
Might be a good place to stop and talk to him, and
yeah, if we go back there again, we should ask what he knows about him, and if he is, to me, like known to deal in black market stuff, because he's got the 100 pounds, and he just so happens to have a room full of probably stolen antiquities and whatnot. What is that money from?
right. That could be something we could do before night 'Cause it's
Yeah.
what, like
so-
noon maybe?
Say that again. Your mic keeps cutting out.
Sorry, it's like noon probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, give or take.
We got time. We got all sorts of time.
Yeah, so inspector and spice shop.
Yeah. You think we have enough information? I mean, the inspector didn't like. He wasn't like, yeah, go ahead and investigate on my behalf. He was like, be normal people, and if you run across something, let me know. And I don't think we did anything crazy. But is that enough to report? Honestly,
Well, he knows that Elias didn't get along with Gavigan, and we think that Gavigan's involved in stuff that we met. And it seems like his place has, I mean, again, police aren't going to want us breaking into places, but sometimes we'd have to feel him out on whether he wants to know if we're going to be doing anything illegal. But I don't remember him talking to us about Zara. And he doesn't know about the truck, as far as we know. So those are things we can tell him.
Oh, we didn't ask. Gavigan about the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh.
Would that be giving away too much?
Maybe.
That's the thing I was worried about with him is letting him know that we're hot on his creepy culty trail.
Hmm. And what was the other thing? We could investigate the creepy artist. Where'd that go? Man-sized dog eating people in Derwent Valley.
do we want to go talk to Mickey Mahoney then?
Sorry, what?
Do we want to go talk to Mickey Mahoney then?
Do we have anything to tell him?
We have things to ask him, right?
Just ask about Gavigan.
I mean, he
Why
already
I
told.
never said anything about him specifically.
Hmm.
In the Misser house.
He's the one that told us about Gavigan in the first place, right? But
Is he?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, good point.
the Miser house. I don't know if he'd know anything about that.
Is there just like a public repository we could like find plots of land and says like, I want to look at this property and see what the miser house is all about. Maybe it's just like his household that he owns.
It might be easier to talk to either, Mickey or the inspector. The inspector might know too, because the inspector's well aware of Gavigan.
Hmm.
So we can talk to those two guys for sure. And then also look at the spice shop.
Yeah, London is chock-a-block with libraries, museums, public records offices, universities. Like,
Yeah, and that's a quick stop in, see what it's about, keep moving.
All right, where to first then? Spice shop. Creepy artist.
Yeah, how about spice shop? That way we'd have maybe more information, possibly, to pass on to the inspector.
Sure.
sure. Driver's happy to take you to Empire Spices. It's a. Let me see. Do I have? I do. Neat. Uh, It's a relatively small 2-story storefront in Soho. If you sit there for just a minute, you'll see a couple people walk in, a couple people walk out. Looks like decent, does a decent amount of business. You don't see anything that stands out particularly amongst the people going in or out. They look like average sorts of people. You see a simple front door to the shop, and you can see a second story above the shop itself. But while the shop has sort of display windows in the front, the second story just has smaller, sort of normal, like residential style windows fronting the street.
Do you want to scope it out first or just bust on in?
We could just go public-facing business.
Cool.
All right, let's roll on in then.
So you go into the shop. The first thing you notice is just an array of just sort of pleasant smells, a variety of spices, mostly familiar to you, but some of them more exotic and harder to place. You can see a couple people in the front room looking at the shelves, looking at small jars of spices. Everything is labeled in a neat hand. Inside the front room, excuse me. The shelves kind of line the walls to either side, and back wall, there's another set of shelving units that sort of lengthwise towards the door as you walk in. There's a table towards the back of the room, behind which you see Zara herself talking to someone, presumably a customer. She's got a jar of spice there, conversing in low tones. You stay there. If you watch for just a moment, you see some money change hands, and the lady walks out with the jar. There's a door on the far wall, and you can see, just from having kind of seen the shape of the buildings as you drove past and the sort of the depth, that there must be more to the shop behind that door. That this front room is like a third to maybe a half the overall depth of the shop.
So cool stuff in the back room for breaking into later.
Yes.
We're gonna be busy at night.
Well, she was, like totally wowed with us. It was a good interaction from what I remember. Right, Matt?
I mean, it wasn't bad, I don't think.
Okay. She was just not.
Yeah, she wasn't smitten or anything, but I don't recall it being particularly negative.
Okay. Is the other person in there with her a gringo or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There are a few other people in here still. The person that she was just talking to was just a middle-aged white Londoner left with some spices. A lot of people in here. You see a couple gentlemen. One of them is actually wearing a chef's coat under an overcoat. Another gentleman on the far wall just browsing. There's one lady walking around. They all seem working class sorts, just Londoners shopping.
Okay.
She runs her own shop? Interesting. Is it just her as an employee? There's no...
That's all you see right now, yeah.
Gotcha.
She takes a personal touch with her business.
Guess so.
All right. So I'm just going to start going in and wandering and, smelling jars, browsing.
Sure. Just out of browse, it's a spice shop.
Yeah, just kind
Everything
of
seems
out.
yeah, it seems well stocked. The spices seem fresh and fragrant. Fairly wide variety. I mean, most of the shop has fairly standard stuff.
Okay.
Most of it just caters to the uh, local chefs, cooks, and whatnot. Like smoked paprika, turmeric. Nothing terribly exotic. There is sort of along the left-hand wall. There's more. There's a shelf that has somewhat more exotic stuff on it. Nothing, and I say exotic, I don't mean that it's like Eye of Newt or anything like that. Just spices that are less common in local cuisines, perhaps catering to visitors from other places, perhaps from Egypt. You're not immediately certain, but they're a little less recognizable. Though, again, they all smell reasonably fresh and fragrant.
Are any of the exotic spices like are they unrecognizable to an American?
Unrecognizable would be pushing. It depends on what you think you've been exposed to in a fairly pre-global trade kind of world. I don't know how much cardamom makes it to the Midwest at this point in history.
Yeah.
So it'll depend on what. I mean, put it this way: there's a lot of African, Middle Eastern kinds of spices here. I don't think anything that you today wouldn't recognize as, certainly by name, as a spice. At the time, it would seem more exotic to you, though potentially, if you're well enough read, you're familiar with the names, though you wouldn't have had much exposure to them as flavors. I don't think anybody here is particularly well traveled to sort of the Mediterranean, Northern Africa area.
I mean, Lois's relatives would have been immigrants from.
Yeah, so you may have had some exposure
Maybe
to
she speak to some of the hey, English food is bland. Do you have some spicy peppers or something that I can, put on my stuff to add a little flavor to all the gray meat?
Sure, and it may be names that you'd recognize, although it'd still be awfully expensive to get a hold of in the States. The spice grade is still not cheap. But sure, we can say that, yeah, given your background, that's a good point. You would recognize, at least by name and potentially, culinary uses thereof, most everything here.
Also exotic, nutmeg.
Don't crack that.
Is there a specific location that these spices are sourced from? You said Egypt and Africa, but are they concentrated to a specific region? Is that something that I could even ask her? Be like, hey, where'd you get these spices from? Was it perhaps Kenya? You know what I mean? Not like that, like.
Sure. Yeah, I would say I don't think there's any particular way the doctor would be able to identify that more than just the general region, sort of identifying Mediterranean, Northern Africa, sort of as a part of the world. But you could certainly start a conversation with her and talk to her about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is our goal here with her? She's at odds with her boss, name unknown. But do we want to know if she knows the other Bonet, the girlfriend of Carlisle? What are we doing?
Good question. I was under the assumption that she was acting nefariously in some fashion because the waitress was scared of her.
I mean, kind of lady will call a hit on you. I'm pretty sure. If you.
Yeah.
act too boldly at her.
And
I
she's
thought we
calling
were
hit.
just scoping
She's
this
acting.
place out.
She's calling hit. She's acting in the shadows, I think. So
You
yeah, I'll
wanna
straight.
Befriend her?
I don't know.
Sure. So you can approach her and begin chatting.
With the main intention being the location of where she. Oh, these are really cool exotic spices. We don't get a lot of this in the States. Where'd you
I
get
could say, maybe, my family, I have family in the restaurant industry, and we're looking to import some better spices to America, where there's a growing Mediterranean population, and we think it could be lucrative, and introduce the some more flavors, I guess.
Sure. Overall, I guess the takeaway from her will be largely she is in full support of the idea. She thinks you're probably right, but she notes that she does not herself handle import-export at that scale. She can't particularly help you with getting spices to the States. In terms of asking after the origin of the spices, she's a little vague, but you don't get the impression that there's any vagueness there beyond. She doesn't particularly want to share her suppliers. Your initial impression, at least, is it's from strictly a business perspective. Her relationship with her vendors is part of what she is selling here, and she isn't interested in helping anyone go around her and sign different contracts with her sources.
Gotcha.
Certainly, you can attempt to dig for more. This is all just with no roles, just having a casual conversation, which you can kind of pick up.
Okay, and maybe I'll ask for maybe a sample pack that I can bring back, and maybe we can deal directly with her or something like that. I don't know. I just want to make a modest purchase, not a
Sure.
cheap one, but not buying her out or anything.
Understood.
Is the back room separated by a curtain, a door?
Yeah, can we
There's
be
a
things
door.
out?
There's a closed door that leads back behind this front retail area. Lois, why don't you give me a credit rating roll with a bonus die?
Oops, no bonus die, but
You're not going to do better than that. You can't roll less than a 0 on your tens die. Yeah, so you talk to her and ask for a sample pack and tell her what what your kind of goal is, and she seems quite happy to help you. She in fact waves off your offer to pay, and she gives you a little box. There's small sachets of spices, not enough to supply a restaurant for even an evening, but enough to get some tastes and try potentially make a couple dishes. Say there's about a dozen different spices and just little, essentially paper packets that she folds up for you in a little wooden box, but not anything particularly extravagant. Just a hinged box that she lets you have, and explains absolutely she's happy to help. She'll sell you anything out of her storefront. She reiterates that she doesn't have much contact with sort of international import-export on sort of a supplier scale, but she'd be happy to give what aid she could, and you never know, maybe she could expand her business in that direction if it was something of real interest to you.
okay, yeah, I'll let her know that if I can't find a wholesale option and we like what we taste here, then maybe we'll just work with her and
Yep.
Business.
Exactly. And she is totally on board with exactly that. Like, I'm sure she's down for business. As you start talking about wholesale options, she will explain that while she is not herself a wholesaler, she can do better than just retail at bulk, and she knows where to get legit spices from reliable vendors that will not be, there's a word, not polluted, that will not be something
Contaminated.
diluted, contaminated. There's a cut, some word I can't think of right now, with just random things that they figure the gringo will not notice the difference. So she's clearly trying to position herself as she can do better than just retail to a guy off the street. She will take a cut as a middleman, but making the case that it's of real value because she does, and her statements are supported by the fact that everything you see or smell in her shop appears 100% legit, like quality spices. Saying like the thing she can provide is knowing who to talk to, knowing where to get spices, that have not been debased by anything else. You can get the good stuff, as it were. But seems open to the idea.
Okay. All right. Friendly rapport. Did you guys want to do any spot hiddens while we're here? I don't know if...
Yeah, I wanted to look at jars and kind of investigate the shop.
Like maybe while I'm talking to her, she's somewhat distracted. If you guys want to like look around.
I think, yeah, while you do that, at the same time when you're talking business, I'd like to comment on the shop, and it looked great, blah, blah, but from the street, it seems much larger. What do you have, a warehouse in the back or something for importing, exporting?
Oh yeah, she'll just explain. She has storerooms and office and kitchen back there for preparing food.
Check.
I'm trying to think of a way to spin conversation to being either allowing us back there or giving us, I don't know. I'm trying to figure a way back there.
And you can just...
I'm not going to just say, can I check back there?
Sure. No, you don't have to. This is why you have stats. You don't have to invent, talk a real good line. If that's the goal, you can just give me a persuade roll. It's a hard roll, but you can give yourself a bonus die because of what Lois has sort of laid out in front of you.
I rolled before you said bonus die. Hold on. What do I just roll 1d100?
Yeah.
I did it wrong, but
29, so it would be a 22. Not quite hard. 5 luck points would get you down to 17, which would be the hard success.
I'm just hemorrhaging luck points. I don't know if it's worth it. I got them for a reason, right? Spend.
All right. So she's a little taken aback. This is obviously not... customers don't normally come in and want to see the back of the shop, and if they did, she's not normally inclined to give tours of back of house, but Lois has established a real sort of desire to do business, and you're clearly, part of her party, and eventually you kind of talk her into it. She waits until there aren't other customers in the store, and then she opens the door sort of behind her, calls back into the back area, summoning someone named Edgio. After a moment, a sort of not quite scruffy, but a little unkempt young man kind of comes out from the back. Looks a little disheveled, clearly Middle Eastern extraction. They exchange some words in a language you don't recognize, and he kind of nods and walks up and kind of stands behind that table. Looks at all of you, sort of nods a little bit, doesn't really make eye contact, doesn't say anything, but kind of bobs his head. And she gestures towards the back of the shop.
Okay.
Everyone going? Just the doctor?
I'm not going unless Lois is going, but at this point, I'm picking it.
Sure.
All right. Is Adele heading to the back or staying out in front?
Front and just see who comes in, just sort of browsing and watching.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, so Zara will take you back through that door and give you a very brief tour of the back. It's not terribly extensive or complex. You walk in immediately through the door. You can see staircase on your left. You see a flight going down and a flight going up. You're obviously in some kind of basically hallway area. There's some just sort of burlap sacks of stuff up against the wall to your left as you walk in. There's a table directly in front of you that's got various bowls and spoons and a mortar and pestle and just sort of miscellany across it. Just as sort of a hallway and a work area. On your right, she points out 2 rooms. She points out her office is the first door on the right. Second door on the right is a storeroom. She opens a door to it briefly, and you can see barrels and crates and sacks. And a powerful smell of spices wafts out as she opens the door. Looks like it's full of, stuff for her to sell. Then at the back on the left, you open the door to a small kitchen. It doesn't look active right now. There are no fires lit or anything cooking around, but you can see an array of pots and pans and various cooking utensils and whatnot. There's a door at the far back of the hallway. Gestures to that, doesn't bother opening. It says, yeah, that leads out to the yard behind the shop, and there's a water closet attached to the back of the shop just through there.
It's just a random question. Is the kitchen like for personal food consumption, or is it to concoct things that they sell in the shop?
It's not clear from just looking at it. If you want to ask her, she'll tell you that it's both. She lives in a flat upstairs. This is where she prepares her own meals, but sometimes she does prepare things here to have in the shop as sort of, samples, examples of what you can do with the spices she's selling.
Cool. Okay, well, we ever need to get in here, we kind of discovered some options there. Well,
My way a little out.
And you can see, so I mean, you could have told from the outside also, this is a storefront amongst a row of other sort of retail fronts. So there are windows along the front, and there's that door in the back, but the side walls are shared with neighboring businesses. So there aren't doors or windows along the sides of the shop in any of these rooms.
okay. That's all I wanted to see. I mean, unless she was going to take us into her office, but she's not.
I mean, the bags of spices have mysterious onks on them and whatnot.
I would say give me a spot hidden, except you would probably roll like a 1, and I have no idea what I'd give you because the answer is no. There really isn't. They're just...
All right, fair enough.
It looks, I mean, to all appearances, what you've been able to see, at least so far, this appears to be a spice shop.
Totally legitimate spice shop.
All right. I mean, I think this is all we're going to get from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
We could go to Mickey Mahoney and then to the inspector, maybe?
Yep.
Sure.
Sure, where to? You heading to first?
I think to the scoop.
Cool. Easy enough. Your driver takes you there. You are, you walk in. You're recognized by enough of the people there. It's not a problem. You head back to Mahoney's office. You find him behind his desk, chewing on a cigar, staring at some sheet of paper he's got in front of him. He looks up as you walk in and says, "Ah, welcome. What can I do for you?"
What are we going to ask him?
I'm gonna ask him about. Well, not Gavigan. About Mr. House, MSR.
Yeah, tell him we saw that Gavigan character.
Yeah, we know he wasn't friends with Elias. Did Elias tell him anything about Gavigan being shady, dealing in black market antiquities?
Having like secret trapdoors in sarcophaguses and his secret room office.
Yes. Why didn't Elias like him?
Mickey isn't real sure why Elias didn't like him. Everybody give me a psychology roll.
What?
Woof.
Yeah. He says he's not sure what caused the friction between Elias and Gavigan.
Okay.
Goes on to say that person in Gavigan's position who sort of rode someone's coattails to a position of prominence and access to a wealth. There are always rumors and stories about the nefarious things that he's up to, and they may be true, but he doesn't have any hard evidence of anything in particular. Just general, dude comes out of nowhere, gets access to wealth, studies ancient Egypt. There's bound to be rumors, but none of them substantiated as far as he knows.
Okay. So no specific incidents with Elias.
Not that he's aware of.
Okay. Would he know someone that would know a little more?
Gavigan.
Gavigan himself?
Yeah.
Well,
Right. I mean, yeah, he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know who else might have been involved. He doesn't. He just knows Elias indicated that he didn't trust and didn't like Gavigan very much, and get any more detail than that.
so specifically didn't trust, not just didn't like.
Yeah.
Hmm. What about the house, Mr. House?
He directs you to the archive room and offers up Marine's assistance again. Anybody who would like to go research can give me a library use roll.
Whee! Libraries. I love libraries. I super love libraries.
Sweet Jesus.
I hope I didn't accidentally put one of the books into the fireplace or something.
Oh no.
Okay.
Does Adele cancel mine? Or do we just have something awesome and terrible happen?
Yeah. I'm gonna hang on to that for a bit because
Oh, good.
the only things I can think of doing are not earned for this. I could set the place on fire, but that's not fair. So I will hold on to that one. You don't find anything useful. We'll just stick with that for the moment. Adele, however, with Marine's assistance, you are able to dig up some newspaper clippings dating back about 10 years. First among them, the word miser, though it sounds like the English word miser, obviously, is actually Arabic and means Egypt. The land the mansion is on and the mansion itself were formerly owned by an enthusiastic Egyptologist and occultist named Neville Lloyd Price. Throw that in the chat. Turns out Lloyd doesn't have an F in it. From some society page clippings, you pick up that it was rumored that Lloyd Price went broke and was forced to sell the property and the land to recover. But whatever the case, and whatever monies he may or may not have gotten by from such a sale, Lloyd Price hasn't been seen for 9 years and effectively just disappeared from London society. Further notes in the society pages sort of politely avoid saying that people believe that he sort of climbed into the bottle after losing his fortune.
Is there a record that Gavigan officially owns it, or no?
If there is such a record, you're not going to find it in a newspaper archive.
Okay.
When did Gavigan get his wealth? You said he was up and coming or a new guy on the block?
Yeah. What would you... Yeah, I think you would have picked up, and you may have actually found this before as I'm thinking about it. You don't have a lot of detail about Gavigan's childhood or anything like that. But it does seem that he is not currently involved with his family. Really, his efforts appear to be entirely independent. He appears to have sort of attached himself to Sir Penhew some time ago. Became his assistant, aide, confidant, etc., becoming more and more important to Sir Penhew and the Foundation, eventually obviously being in a position where when Penhew left for the expedition, he left the Foundation in Gavigan's care. It is not clear what his background is before that. It's not apparently information here that's in the archives. Maureen would be able to tell you that for anything like deeds or records of sale, anything along those lines, you'd need to search public records. And she can direct you to the essentially City Hall type, not the City Hall itself, but the attached sort of hall of records that you could potentially do some research in. She also notes that Miser House is probably noteworthy enough that it might be covered in just works about London and the surrounds. You could check out a library, do just classic research there. They've got a fairly extensive newspaper archive, but obviously that's a very specific sort of information that they have on hand here.
Gotcha. And just to jog my memory, the expedition happened how long ago?
1919, I think. Let me double check that date.
Trying to figure out the order of events here.
Yes, the expedition departed from New York to Egypt in 1919.
And the years currently?
1925.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if the house was purchased by Gavigan, it was purchased 5 years prior to the expedition. Or so.
Did Lloyd Price have a collection in that house of specimens? Not specimens, you know what I mean?
It's not clear from what you can find here what he may have had there or not. And it's noted his claim to fame, such as it was in society, was Egyptology and occultism. So it sort of stands to reason that he would presumably have had some stuff along those lines. But whether it was just sort of a gentleman's collection or like a museum-worthy collection or a hoarder's house of, Egypt-themed junk with Ankhs stamped on them, you have no way of knowing.
Was he part of the Penhew Foundation?
You also don't know that.
Okay.
You don't find anything along those lines in the newspaper clippings, at least.
Does he have family? Was he married? A bachelor?
He was a bachelor, at least when he sold the property. Whatever family he grew up in or had outside of just living in his house is not made mention of. In some ways, it's not made mention of in a potentially suspicious sort of way. Like, potentially there was a falling out and they don't want to be associated with him, or he doesn't want to be associated with them. But there is no connection between him and family noted in anything you're finding here.
Okay. His corpse is in that house.
Well, if we're going to continue on this trail, I suppose public records is the next step. Is there anything else we need from the newspapers?
Did we ever ask him about Zara? I think we did.
Did we what?
Did we ever ask or research Zara at the Scoop?
I don't remember.
But yeah, we did, because Maureen helped us. Maureen told us that Zara's lived to Gavigan, she needed money, she met Penhew. Alright, no, I don't think there's anything else we need here. But yeah, we should talk to the police inspector. But yeah, if we want to do additional research, we can do that first.
Just a quick stop off at the old public information booth there.
Sure.
Find the house.
So you can stop at the Hall of Records. No roll necessary here. You talk to the clerk there. Disappears for a few minutes. Comes back and says, actually, they don't have any records for land ownership of that particular property here, though he suspects that the paperwork would exist in the archives of the Chelmsford Council, the Essex County seat.
Is that less publicly accessible?
No, it should be. It should be accessible. You have to travel to Essex to get there to see it.
Gotcha. How far is Essex from London?
That's a great question that I was afraid you were going to ask.
Google's got the answer.
I'm not looking this up. That can't possibly be right.
We need to go to Chelsea anyway to talk to that artist.
Did you think it was further or closer?
43 miles.
I'm saying.
Now, the top result here. No, that's no. Okay, that I don't know what you think I'm asking, but it ain't that.
Google
It
Maps.
cannot possibly be 3,600 miles. England isn't that big.
On
No,
Google
okay.
Maps, it
From
says 40.
here.
Yeah, it must be. All
It's
right.
not-
Yes. A little more than 40. Little more than 40 miles.
But is Chelsea in London though?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yes.
one of the fancy suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea is much closer. Chelsea is totally reasonable. Just drive. Essex is not quite a day trip. It's probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, in a car. So not something you have to stay. You wouldn't have to stay overnight, but 40 miles is enough at the time to be a thing you got to do.
Noted.
So the house itself is in Essex, not the records.
Both.
The records would be in the archives of the Chelmsford Council, which is the county seat. Chelmsford is the county seat of Essex.
Okay, so the records are in Essex, not the house itself.
Well, the house is also in Essex, is in Essex County, which is why the records are going to be in the county seat.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So the only thing we have left to do is talk to the inspector then, right?
Okay.
Let's phone him up if there's public phone around or something. I don't think they have public phones yet. You can walk into a business though, right? They let you use it.
Possibly. You could also just go find him.
Oh yeah, I guess he has an office. That's... Yeah, that's cool, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy enough to do. He welcomes you into his office. Asks you to take a seat. He has his own office, which is sort of impressive in its own right, but it is a bit cramped in there. At least one of you remains standing. There are only 2 chairs across the desk from his. It's a fairly small office. His desk is full but tidy. There's not a whole lot of working space on the desk, but everything there is neatly piled and evidently organized, though the system is not obvious to your eye. He takes a seat, looks at all of you. Yes? You have information?
Yeah, we sure do. And then I'll present the information on the Egypt Club, or Pyramid Club, and the folks that seemingly travel to there in large. You said 24 folks, I think, every once a month or something like that, came in and out via truck. And
Yes, a truck departs.
There you go. I'll give him that information. I'll let him know where it came from and how he came about that information, so it's not just like us staking it out. And then I'll also mention that she believes her boyfriend was killed, possibly at the request of Zara. And I think we want to leave the trapdoor to our own. We don't want to tell him about the trapdoor, do we? That implies I'm sneaking around in like a academic building.
We just checked the closet, and it turned out to be a secret passageway.
But we're not telling him that, are we? We should be.
I mean, we can trust him, right?
Yeah, but if we tell him and he's just like, okay, so he's got a trap door, sweet. Like, that's not illegal.
So I don't know if we have the same rapport we had
Back in New
with
York.
some other police. He might be like, leave it to the police.
Yeah.
Stay out of this.
I'm inclined to hold the trapdoor information back. But everything else I'm cool with letting him know.
I mean, that's kind of like our big information.
And I'll also ask about the Miser house, if he has heard anything about it, or if there's anything funky about it. We're just looking at it.
Sure. So of this rundown, takes particular note of the potential murder of the boyfriend. Says that he will, of course, investigate that as a possible crime. That's right up his alley. Notes makes note of the monthly truck visit and departure, as he wasn't aware of anything along those lines. He's not certain he can have the manpower to do anything like a stakeout, but if the opportunity presents itself, he'll try and keep an eye out for it. What else are you telling him? The boyfriend, the truck.
And I was asking about the house.
Right, Miser House. He sort of shakes his head, indicates the name doesn't really mean anything to him in particular.
Okay.
And we should tell him what the waitress told us, right?
Yeah, he's got that.
Okay.
Our boyfriend.
And then, did she? Was it her who told us about the cult of the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh?
We got that from a book.
Well, we got that from somewhere else. Oh, it was from him, actually. I guess we could tell him that we also found that in a book. He's the one who told us about Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh in the first place. And then I realized that we have a book from our friend that talks about the same cult. And we think that that's a connection.
He agrees with you and sort of seems more on board than he has before, as you point that out, and says, it does look like Elias's investigations weren't just, random flailings, but there's clearly a connection here. He must have been on to something of some kind.
I think the two takeaways from that book were something about a bent pyramid in a hidden throne room. I guess that might be what we're looking for. If there's a cult, they will have some sort of center, some meeting place. So if you've heard of some, we have speakeasies in New York. I don't know what you have in London, because I guess you're just
Taverns.
Yeah.
Yes. If you anything that's being called the bent pyramid or anything like that, just keep an ear out for those words.
He notes those down on his ever-present notepad as terms of interest.
And I'd give you the book to read, but it's crazy pants, and boy, it did a number on me. I wouldn't recommend anyone read it.
Not really much of a reader, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, that's the scoop there, Chief. That's what we got.
Yes.
He thanks you. Seems genuinely appreciative of the additional information. Does reiterate his warning that while he appreciates any insider information you may have, you are not detectives, you are not empowered as law enforcement officers, you may not execute searches, arrests, etc. Please do not engage in any illegal activity, etc., etc. If you run across stuff, feel free to bring it. Again, he does seem genuinely appreciative, but clearly has gotten the vibe that perhaps in the past you've done some more investigating than he thinks is appropriate for members of the public who aren't even citizens of His Majesty's England.
Oh, hey,
Really
one
doesn't
more
that
thing
protect
before
him
we leave.
more?
One more thing before we leave. Our friend was shot in the street the other day, just for seemingly no reason. Just walking back from that club that we talked with the waitress at, and it's like shot from the rooftop. He's fine now. But he was shot through the chest, grievously.
He sort of looks at you.
This is all above board. Well, we were. That wasn't. But
So, your friend was grievously wounded. When?
how long ago was that? 2 days ago, or was that last?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Yeah, it was 2 days ago. He seems to be recovering well. Now, mind you, he's a vet. He fought in the Great War, so he's probably no stranger to wounds like that. Realizing my mistake.
Certainly bears investigation. I'm surprised I haven't seen a report on this event already, as dire as you describe it. I'm certainly glad to hear your friend is doing well. Can you give me some details, exactly when and where? Assuming you're willing, you can. We don't need. Yeah. It's really just a question of whether you want to or not. Not. Please come up with an exact street address in London to tell him.
No, everything, all the details, but the whispering voice that he said he heard.
Sure. I'll have some men investigate the area, see what we can track down. Again, it's a little surprising to me that no report of this has made its way to my desk already. By your description, well, rifle reports are not common occurrences in the city of London, as I'm sure you've noticed by not generally hearing them. A curious incident, to be sure.
Now, I can't remember during the incident. Did we hear a rifle go off, or did he just have a hole thrown?
You definitely heard a rifle go off.
Okay. But nobody was panicking.
There was nobody immediately around either.
Fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as far as you could tell, I mean, aside from the overt weirdness of it happening at all, and some of what Denny reported, from everybody else's point of view, it seemed like a perfectly normal event of being shot by a rifle. Like, the event itself was obviously highly unusual, but there didn't seem anything weird about it beyond who the hell is taking pot shots at us in London?
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll send our friend your regards.
Yeah, he takes the notes, and also again seems a little confused at the sequence of events and how well Denny is apparently doing after what you've described as a grievous wound to his torso from a rifle.
He's resting at home, but mostly because of drinking trench whiskey.
Yes, he got trench mouth.
But he appears willing to sort of set that aside in the name of investigating. You're not sure whether he thinks perhaps you're investigating the injury or downplaying how injured he still is, but he seems at least willing to entertain there was a shooting here that should be investigated.
We have the guy's name. Do we want to ask him about...
Wasn't the guy who... Are you talking about the guy who Denny thinks shot him?
Yeah.
Wasn't he like... It wasn't wasn't he like a fallen soldier in the war?
No, he was known. He was known for being a sniper.
Yeah.
Silas Wayfarer. A war acquaintance.
Is he a subject of investigation around these parts, or don't know who he is? I'll ask the investigator.
Sure. Silas Wayfarer. I can't say that's a name I'm familiar with, but having a name to go on is, as you would imagine, enormously helpful.
Yeah. Until like we come visit him again, he's like, Silas has been dead for 10 years. Cool. Okay.
I know you said he was a war acquaintance of your friends. Do you know, quite frankly, whose army he was a part of?
Ours? Cause yeah,
Maybe.
Denny
I don't know.
knew.
Denny would know. But
I don't suspect you make many acquaintances on the other side of the trench.
I mean, he could have been British. I mean, the Americans and the Brits would have worked together with other allies. Or Australian, I don't know.
Very good. Obviously, it will be easiest for me to get details if he was a British serviceman. If not, however, I have some contacts I can work with to see what we can find on this Silas Wayfarer. If you find any more details, please do share. As I say, a name is an enormous leg up, but quite a few men served in the Great War. It will take some time to sift through them, even given the name.
That's all we've got to report there. We're off to do more investigating on your behalf.
No?
That's all I've got for the investigator.
Cool.
I think the next order of business is to wait out until the evening or
Mhm.
midnight or so and break in, but that is for next session with Denny.
Yeah. Yeah, let's wrap it up here. It has been a long week in a lot of ways. Excuse me. Nothing tires you out like vacation. Yeah, unfortunately, we are out of town again next Friday. But we will hopefully, well, I intend to reconvene for another session of Cthulhu Friday after that. Apologies for the delays. They had our Door County week and my annual family reunion weekend get backed right up against each other, so a lot going on.
Awesome.
But I don't think we have anything notable planned anytime particularly soon after that, so we should be able to get back on a regular Friday thing.
Let us know if you end up in Madison for any reason. Wanna get lunch?
Will do.
But otherwise, yes, have fun with your family.
Indeed.
All right, everybody. Well, good seeing you this week.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
All right.
So long.
Good night, guys.
Until next time.
Night, guys.